Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Growth Path. Today I'm super excited to have somebody on who's going to be deep diving into all things machine learning, AI, etc. with us today. I've got Martin Lukac, who's co-founder and chief scientist at Koios. Martin has over 10 years experience in fields such as machine learning, deep learning, agent-based modeling, social network analysis, survey and experimental methodology, and has continually sought out challenges in emerging technological domains. He leverages both data science techniques and AI to address complex scientific, social, scientific, and business questions. He also has 3 master's degrees, look at you, and a PhD in computational social science. He also has a robust foundation in developing simple, long-lasting technical strategies that prioritize innovation and are driven by clear goals. On top of that, Martin is also a keen runner and is about to run a half marathon next week. So good for you, Martin. Good to have you on, mate.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andy.
Sure. Tell us a little about what you guys do at Koios.
Sure. Koios is a bit of a new beast around the block. We started Koios with my co-founder Tom about 4 years ago. The mission was to bring in more understanding of humans into the recruiting process. So my co-founder Tom is from talent acquisition space, and he noticed that the personality assessment is everywhere and there's a lot of value in it. But also he noticed that this is a very outdated thing. Many people use pen and paper, and candidates sometimes do tend to hate that and they drop out because of that. We started on a journey of automating this whole process. So initially we built the first model to predict personality insights from text from social media. We scraped that for many reasons. We didn't want to be dependent on social media for this, and we started tinkering with voice. Voice data is absolutely interesting because it carries so much signal about an individual. So if you look at the research from 30, 40 years ago, there are papers all around saying, if you want to know someone's personality, just go and you talk to them, right? And that's what psychologists have been doing for many years. So we started this new research, and we built a couple of models that can predict your big 5 personality from just 90 seconds of voice from a conversation like we are having right now.
Amazing. How long have you guys been doing it for?
I think around 3 years. We started first in stealth. It started as a side project, did some data collection that we paid for. Then we raised the first friend and family round. Then we raised from VC seed camp, and then we scaled it up. Currently, we have an API that people can use. Many companies are tapping into it, sending over recordings of candidates, and we are returning back the personality profiles and a ton of insights about how to manage the people, how to coach them, how to mentor them, and also in sales how to sell better to these people.
Okay, and are you guys currently selling the product? Do you have a number of customers?
Yeah, we have a number of customers that are actively using it. We are working also on a couple of projects specifically where we do bespoke development for some customers. A lot of research on the side, so we are very research oriented as a company.
Excellent. And it's a subscription model?
It is a pay-as-you-go model. For the API. For consulting, we just charge consulting fees.
Sure. How many users do you have on the platform, or how many people do you have using the APIs?
We have a couple of thousand calls per month, but it's been growing over the last few months. We launched an API towards the end of the last year, and it's been growing ever since. Quite a lot of activity in the space.
Okay. What type of people / companies are you targeting?
Most of our business comes from recruiters or recruiting platforms, which are already using video recordings or audio recordings. So they ask the candidate to record themselves, send it over, then they are analyzing this. So we are basically just enriching the data they are currently having. We also have an interesting business that is simulating sales for sellers and so sales calls. So taking this personality information, they can simulate the person on the other end better and ask them harder questions and make it tougher for them so they actually can learn better. So it's all kind of businesses. And that was one of the things that we learned with Tom on the way, is that we probably shouldn't try to build a product because it's just really, really wide application. And that's why we took the step back and just focus on the API and try to help everyone around us to build amazing products using this information.
That's very interesting. So your product is basically, or the product is not a product, it's an API, right? That's basically feeding information into whatever product you're using,
Exactly.
correct?
That's
So
exactly it.
let's take recruiting platforms as an example. Personio as a would that be an example of a, maybe not somebody that you partner with, but an example of a platform that could be used?
Yep,
Would you?
exactly. We could use the whole platform. So if they have an automation for either recording the call, we can use a call so we can separate the audios, we can directly analyze the candidate, or we can automate if someone sends a recording of themselves just introducing themselves for a couple of minutes, we can use that directly and just return a structured output about the personality, plus also a textual output that makes more sense. Because if you just look at the numbers that we are recording, right? So the personality theory we are using is called Big Five. So it's essentially
Yeah.
agreeableness, openness, neuroticism, etc., etc. And so you just get five numbers. Sometimes people, when they don't have background in personality psychology, they don't know what they mean. So that's why we also sort of bring in a summary of what those five numbers mean.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. That's very, it's interesting that you're bringing in, like, I wouldn't found well founded and well structured research from the past, or from, I don't know when the big five, the five principles were developed, but I get that's not new. Like, let's say
No,
it's,
I mean, in psychology, a lot of the research came back like 20, 30 years ago, but that's essentially very good because there are many new theories around the block. And the problem is that many of them are not validated and are literally equal to horoscope. I saw an amazing plot. Someone looked at the average correlation with behavioral outcomes of these personality theories, and Big Five is obviously the most validated one and the most scientifically robust. But then the second one is called Myers-Briggs. That's about half of the correlation, and then the
yeah.
rest is basically very, very close to zero.
Myers-Briggs, is that the one that does the oh, what's it called again? They've got a specific model. What's it called again?
It's the four letters that everyone had on Facebook like 15 years ago, like IFTJ, and
Yeah, yeah,
everyone
yeah,
loved
yeah,
it. And I think their marketing is
yeah.
actually amazing. It's just that the substance falls short.
Yeah, got it, got it, got it, got it. It's super interesting what you're doing there, man. Because even if you're talking about, okay, personality types in pre-employment, but actually when you get into actual employment, there's also things like the, I don't know if you've ever read the book about the five dysfunctionalities of a team.
No.
You should have a read of that, man. You'd be super if you're interested in sociology and psychology. It's really interesting. I think it's the five dysfunctions of a team, or it's either five or six, and it's it's anecdotal, right? So what they do is they make up a fictional team and a fictional business, and then you've got a fictional boss, and it basically tells the story of the five different people that are on the team and how they're being dysfunctional, and how
Hmm.
you can use the dysfunctions to build a better team if you allow those personality traits that are showing dysfunctional problems, how you can leverage each of those to make a stronger team.
Amazing.
So if for going forward, if you're thinking pre-employment, now I'm going to patent this and sell it to you, no joke. But if you think about it, if you're going pre-employment and trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to find the best candidates, and what's the best questions to ask, etc. Think post-employment, when you have a team, when
Yeah.
you have a leader that doesn't maybe have that much experience or is struggling. Like, we're all like, there's always going to be struggles as a leader. Trying to figure that out and try to get the most out of your team. That could be an interesting way forward. But
Yeah, I'll take it up a notch. So actually, I did some research. So there's a very new way of doing research these days by using large language models as agents. So I'm not sure if people know this widely. In my bubble, this is becoming more common. But one thing that people have noticed that large language models can actually pretend to very high fidelity to be someone if you give them enough of a background story, enough of a personality. So what I did, I built a simulation where I randomly initialized these agents and I pitted them together in a team and I let them solve a problem. And the awesome thing is that you can manipulate their personalities and all their quirks. and then you run the simulation 1,000 times and you observe how often the team builds something sensible, how much creativity there is, or how much conflict there is in the team. So if you crank up their neuroticism trait, they start shouting at each other and they basically come up with no solutions. And in the end, like the amazing thing about simulation is that life is hard because time runs just once and then you observe what happened, but you can rerun simulation a million times. So you can see like 20% of the time this team has failed, but 80% of the time it has succeeded. And whichever of those two you've observed, you wouldn't know about the other one and you wouldn't never quantify the probability of that. And so we are actually now starting a cooperation with one potential client where they want us to build this like a full product with them, where they would allow much better decisions, whether it's not only a person matching a job description, but a whole team of people and how this person matches the team.
Interesting. So, in theory, you could look to hire the perfect team
Yeah,
based
absolutely.
on
Or
based
you can
on
de-risk a lot.
yeah, yeah. You could de-risk a lot based on, it's not just based off one individual profile. It's based off of the characteristics of all team members that you have, and how you could then, like, if you've simulated the specific types of personalities, for example, within a team, you could then build your team based on that as a roadmap, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Exactly.
Jesus, man, things are getting scary.
This is the typical reaction I usually get when I speak about what we do. Like everyone's like Black Mirror.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an episode of Black Mirror and Terminator at the same time. But no, it's interesting though. It 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 just makes it better. Or as a hiring manager, basically what it does is it just gives you a better feeling when you go to offer with a candidate. I think that's probably, like, you're never going to be 100% be able to lean on these LLMs and say, oh, or on agents, even AI agents, to say, like, for them to make a full decision for you. Like, people are ultimately going to maybe change. People are going to, external events are going to affect them. They might, there might be some issues at home, whatever. Something's going to come up. It's not going to go the way that you plan it 100%. But if you could try to fix as many of the variables as you possibly can, or understand as many of the variables as you possibly can, to give you a bit more insight, rather than just based off, I don't know, 3 hours worth of conversations that you might have in an employment process, right? To give you any sort of pointer in the right direction, that would be
Exactly.
awesome.
Exactly. So that's why we build our models separate from all the LLM hype. First, you have something that is ours, proprietary, but also so that we can really inspect every single prediction and we can validate it and make sure that it is correct. Especially in the recruiting field, it's quite sensitive if you provide any information using AI. Obviously, we would love humans to make all these decisions, but still, you need to be as transparent as possible with these
Yeah,
models.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's like I think people are getting super freaked out about AI generally. I'm not freaked out. I think it's fine. Like, people are, my view of it is, it just helps us make better decisions quicker.
Yep. Yeah.
Like,
I, it's an amazing productivity tool. I think AI will bring an amazing future, but we will need to learn how to manage it well as a society. So there will be
hmm.
quite big shifts, and I think there will be big challenges coming with it. Um, but in the end, I think it will be very a net positive for everyone.
Have you heard about this new EU initiative to get? It's basically like to make every business have like an AI driving license.
No.
Like, you need to basically be AI certified in order to officially use AI within your business.
Oh well,
And
someone will
basically,
make a lot of money on that.
exactly. This is just fucking bureaucrats in Brussels sitting down and being like, oh, AI, what do we do? Oh, I've got a great idea. Let's legislate it so that you're
Yeah.
only able to use it in business if if you've got this, like, AI driver's license. So what you're going to find is, you're going to find a lot of people that are going to start themselves up as consultants that are going to be AI certified, or they're going to be able to provide you certification in AI,
Yeah.
and basically sell that to businesses. And it's basically going to be like an ISO type of certification, where you're going to have to
Yeah.
check a lot of boxes, right?
exactly, and it brings probably very little value. But what I really like about AI is that it really empowers the individual. So I recently I've been just trying out some projects that I've been building, and it's just incredible what you can do if you know a little bit of coding, like especially in the code generation space. Like these agentic, it's called agentic AI. So it's not like you give it a question, it answers, but it literally goes and creates a plan of stuff that it needs to do. Then it goes execute, it writes code, then it checks it, then it, like runs tests. It's absolutely amazing. Like the time to develop an MVP like in the last 6 months like went down from maybe a couple of months to weeks or even days, and you can do it on your own, which I think changes a lot of the dynamics when it comes to building your business. And also, and not many people realize this, but I'm willing to say it out loud, it also changes quite a lot of the positioning of VC funding. So previously pre-seed fund where to build a product, right? To get you somewhere, then you can test it. And a lot of it was a very, very high risk. But now you can, like, you on your own can build a product, you can get users, and it's all like within hundreds of euros, maybe thousands. And then you will only use VC money only to scale up. And that's a
Mhm.
very, very different model.
Yeah, I was talking to, we had on this podcast last week CFO of one of the larger funds in Europe, and the topic of AI came up. And
Mm,
also, it was a mix of AI plus the current geopolitical climate and how that's affecting decisions on which new companies they should take into their portfolio. And one of the things that he said was, well, actually, with our portfolio, we've always put people first. So it's the AI thing is not necessarily affecting them. They see it as like, okay, they don't need to go to your point, they don't need to spend money on product.
hmm
Like they, if they give money to somebody or to a business, they're investing in the people, and they're investing in like how do those people react in a go to market setting,
Yep.
rather than being like, this is a shit hot product and we want to throw as much development resource at this as possible. Of course, like some of the VC money will go towards that, but actually you could build a pretty stable functioning product within a couple of hours. Now
Exactly.
that's
Like, and you can
that's not
bootstrap. Like,
yes,
crazy. Like,
100%, 100%. Like I used the I used an example with him last week. I worked together with a founder of another tech startup, and he actually runs he runs TED events as well. So and he was running a TED event and needed to get a something that helped people share the fact that they had just registered for the event over social and have that directly linked over the thank you page once people register, right? So you go through, you register, you click a link, and it automatically shares it on LinkedIn, right?
yep.
And he was looking for a product. He was like, this surely is something that exists. And it does exist, but it's very expensive, like really expensive. He was like, fuck that, I can't afford this. So he spent like half a day and developed it himself.
Exactly.
He's not a developer.
Exactly.
He's not a developer. And then he was like, actually, this is interesting. Let me create a website and messaging and pricing and a payment gateway that we can then set up so that people can actually buy this. And guess what? In like 2 days, he had a working product plus a website, brand, like everything around the brand, logo, color scheme, a message, a tone of voice, a website launched, pricing, a payment page that people could go and buy the product from, all in like 2 days.
Yep. Yep. Like, it's amazing. Like they've pronounced the end of coding, but I think this is just a start. Like it's just so amazing. Like if you know the basics, I mean, obviously this guy you said didn't know anything but about coding, but then you have people who know the basics of language. You can then debug a lot of stuff. You can switch between languages. It's just amazing. It takes you a couple of days to understand the framework, and then like you can just navigate a tool around, tell it what to do, help it troubleshoot, add some of your intelligence on top of that, be it eyes and ears. But exactly, like you can do so much good and interesting stuff. It's absolutely amazing. There's this guy. I'm not sure if you know him. His name is Peter Levels. He's a Dutch guy who took a year off from his work. I think it was a sabbatical, and he's like, "What am I gonna do?" So he decided to build 12 startups in 12 months, And granted, like 8 of them were crap and totally died. Allegedly, he built 70 plus startups to date. But 3 flew, sort of, and 1 was amazing. Today, he's 5 years later, he's making 300K a month just from those
Holy
startups as a
shit!
single person just managing them. And he built tools for himself. So he's like, yeah, I had so many projects. So I just built a monitoring tool. So I'm using LLMs to like fetch all the bug reports, and then it sifts through and then it summarizes it for me. So then I just go and fix it. And he's just traveling around. On his X profile, he's there in his shorts and just like lying down with his notebook and just tapping on the keyboard. And that's exactly what he's been doing ever since. And so it's possible. Like this one person $1 billion company is pretty close, I think.
Jesus, man, one person $1 billion company. That's That's definitely an interesting model, all right. Like, what type of companies has he been successful with?
There's one called Photo AI. So pretty early, you just drop in your pictures and it basically fine tunes a model for you to generate as many profile images as you want. So yeah, it was a pretty cheap model, but people liked it. It was a hype, and like, it was also very useful because you need a CV photo, a photo for LinkedIn, so you just generate as many as you wish afterwards. Then there is some digital nomad thing, something with interiors as well. So you just take a picture of your living room, and then you ask it to redesign it. Like these kind of things. It's small projects, but it's immediately bringing value, and people are willing to pay for it, and that's what it's all about, right?
And that's the thing, people say, oh, to go to your point, people are saying, oh, developers are not, there's not going to be any need for developers. I fully disagree with that. I think it's just use the knowledge in a slightly different way. And now it's maybe going to be a renaissance for developers almost, it's going to
Yep.
be it's, it's going to be the new coming for developers because as you said, like they could very quickly become one-man $1 billion businesses if you think about a problem that needs to be solved. Typically, any developer that I've worked with is always like quite binary in the thinking and like there's a problem that needs to be solved and
Mm,
therefore I need to do X or Y to solve it, or X plus Y solves that specific issue. And sometimes with developers they might be missing where the issue lies, but they know once you give them the issue they're able to find what X and Y is to get to find that or to get to that solution, right? um and I think going forward now, if developers can lean on people to help them understand what the problems are, they'll be able to find very quick solutions and get very rich very quick by doing it.
exactly. The differentiator now is creativity, good ideas, and providing
Yes.
value quickly. That's what it is.
Yes. So developers out there, lean on creative minds. If you do not have a creative mind yourself, which is, I think you can learn to have a creative mind. Think about problems that need to be solved in your everyday life and try to go solve it. That could be creativity, right?
Yep.
In this example. But hey, Martin, it's been really great speaking with you, mate. Where can people find you?
Mostly active on LinkedIn. I'm on X as well, but I don't post there as much. So LinkedIn is the place.
Okay. We'll get everything shared in the description of this episode. Thanks so much for coming on, Martin.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Andy.
Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, it's been another episode of Growth Path. Tune in again next week for more great content. Thanks, Martin.
Thanks. Bye.